We're talking about Prop CC and Prop DD, which are going to be on the ballot. We've talked about DD in the past. I want to focus on CC today with our special guest, Lindsey Singer, who is the communications director for Colorado Rising Action, a conservative advocacy group here in our great, or at least formerly great, state of Colorado. Good morning, Lindsey. Thanks so much for being here.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. And I would say it's still great. There's still hope.
Okay. I'll go with your optimism then. So one of the things that concerns me about Prop CC is the wording on the ballot makes it sound like it's not a tax hike. Tell us what it really is.
It might make it sound that way because it starts out saying without raising taxes. And I have it right here in front of me. The cover of the ballot information book is about a notice of election to increase taxes on a referred measure, and yet somehow the legislature got this ballot language in here that starts out without raising taxes, even though the state government would be keeping and spending an estimated $1.7 billion over the next 3 years of our tax money.
It's, I wonder, I haven't looked at the document you're looking at, but I wonder if that title that you're talking about on the cover of the booklet actually relates to DD.
Well, I think it's both. I mean, CC is a tax increase.
It's a huge tax increase.
Like you, I haven't checked my mail yet, but I have the ballot language right in front of me, which is the same as it's going to be on the ballot.
Okay, so for folks who have missed it, tell us what CC will actually do. Not what the Dems claim, but what it will actually do.
Yeah, so CC is asking us to permanently give up our Taxpayer Bill of Rights refunds to the state so that they can grow spending in what they say would be the areas of transportation and education. But because this is a statutory change and not a constitutional change, the 2020 legislature can change that. The 2021 legislature can change where that money would go in perpetuity. This is forever.
Right. So, and we saw that, by the way, with Ref C, and even some Democrats have admitted it. I think even the Denver Post admitted it, with money that was supposed to go, to column A. And what the legislature did was they removed spending that would otherwise have been in column A and went and spent it on column B, and then took the tax hike from Prop C and spent that on column A and say, see, we did what we told you we would do. But really what the voters think they're being told is that it will increase total spending on whatever the thing is. They usually make it about roads and something for the children, but then they go do something else.
That's exactly right. And to use roads as an example, between Ref C, which you just talked about, the hospital provider fee and faster fee increases, since 2005, we've been putting more than $3 billion a year towards roads, and yet our roads are rated some of the worst in the nation, especially our rural roads. And that's just unacceptable when we think that there's money going somewhere, and it's sort of a shell game. And the same with education. In that time, actual spending on education went down during the Ref C Tabor timeout, as we call it.
Yeah, and just to be clear, are you saying that money from Prop C and all those other things actually went to roads, or just they told us it was going to go to the roads?
It could have actually gone to roads, but then other existing funds, like you're talking about, went somewhere else. So
right. So the net increase wasn't what they promised us. It's a shell game. Now,
exactly. We wouldn't be in the situation we are, having some of the worst roads in the nation, having a $9 billion backlog of road projects if the money was actually going where they were telling us it was going.
Right. So one of the things that I'm a little worried about is that, at least on television so far, all the ads I've seen about Prop CC have been in favor of it. What are you seeing? I mean, it's hard to fight that with it's not like everybody in Colorado is listening to the Ross Kaminsky show, even though they should. So what is our side doing to actually try to beat this thing out there in the world of public opinion for those folks who aren't already, listening to shows like this?
Yeah, that's tough. The Yes on CC campaign, which launched like 2 weeks ago, pretty late in the game. The No on CC side has been fighting this for months, but they have a lot of money. They have a lot of out-of-state money trying to push this through. And part of that, I'll just note, is because the legislature is already in the hole. So if we think that money is going towards roads and education, but the legislature is already over $100 million in the hole for next session, I am willing to put my $100 million that doesn't exist on the legislature taking that money for their new programs. But to go back to your question, the No on CC campaign, now that ballots are out, is really when the money that they have is going to be pushing out to the public. It's going to be targeted because they don't have as much money as the out-of-state funding coming in for the yes side. And their real goal is to repeal Tabor. And there's a lot of people who don't like that we have a say in tax increases, so they're willing to put their money there. But what we do have is the two biggest newspapers in the state, the Denver Post and the Gazette, and then a group of Colorado community newspapers that have come out against Proposition CC for a variety of reasons, mostly because it lasts forever and it's not specific about where the money will go. And so we're counting on that. We do speaking engagements all the time with Republican groups and with chambers of commerce. We try to get on the radio as much as possible. And especially now that ballots are out and people have them in front of them and can mark no on CC and put it in drop it in the box or get it sent in right away. This is the week that we're really trying to push it.
Has there been any polling on this with publicly available results?
There's been a little bit public. The polling that I've seen, when people just read the ballot language, which again starts without raising taxes to better fund roads and bridges and schools, when people just read that, they are more likely to vote for it. But when you tell them it is a tax increase and there's actually no guarantee that it's going to fund these things, it can't go to fund big road projects, and it actually isn't going to go to teacher pay, you're not allowed to spend it on teacher pay, then people are like, well, this doesn't make sense. Why would we vote to change this forever, to give up our Tabor tax refund forever for something that the legislature could change where that money is going to go in a matter of years?
Can you elaborate on something that I think people don't understand and is very important? You just mentioned it, but I want you to elaborate on why this money from Prop CC, if it were to pass, would not go to teacher pay.
Yeah, so it actually says in the bill that passed, that got this on the ballot, it says it cannot go to parts of education that would be continuing. So you can't promise a teacher that they get a pay increase when we don't know how much in refunds we're going to get from year to year. We're estimating it's going to be $1.7 billion, but the economy can change. Even, in the last 6 months, there's been some change in how much they're estimating tax refunds will be. So you can't spend it on bonuses or teacher pay that you can't guarantee from here on out, which totally makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
But I would say then this money isn't getting to where we actually need it in education. We're spending too much money on the administrative part of education, even though the actual spending on education has gone up about 20%. Teacher pay has gone down about 20% for inflation over about the last 10 years. So, I think anyone I talk to who thinks that more money is needed in education thinks that it should be in the areas of education that directly impact our students, like teacher pay. And that is not going to happen with Prop CC. And likewise, with roads, you can't bond for big projects with money that isn't guaranteed.
Right, exactly. Look, this whole thing is a giant shell game. Coloradans are being lied to. Almost everything that the Yes on CC people have told you about CC is a lie. And folks, not only do you need to vote against it, you need to talk to your friends and neighbors about it, folks who maybe don't listen to shows like this, who will just read the first few lines in the ballot and say, oh, it doesn't raise taxes and it's for the children and roads. And they'll just vote yes because they'll think it's some kind of magic free money thing when actually it is a massive tax hike. And we've got to get to independent voters, suburban soccer moms, and people like that and tell them what this actually means. Lindsey Singer is the communications director for Colorado Rising Action. Thanks so much for your time this morning, Lindsey. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.